Good afternoon. My name is Dan Cataldi. I'm a member of the Board of Trustees for Timeless Teleco, the foundation here in Teleco Village. I'd like to thank you all for coming to today's dedication. Today, we're here to dedicate a plaque honoring Major General Shirley Sack Carpenter. Special thanks to all the 60 people who donated to the project, a third of which were from out of state. We have Ruthie. And we have their children, David, Dale, and Scott Carpenter. And Christy and Mark Stearns. I'd like to bring Bill Butera up here to talk to the project.
Thank you, Dan. My wife and I have known Sam and Ruthie since 2007 when we moved here. We met them through the Retired Military Club. So let's start with Sam at the University of Virginia with a full football scholarship under the coaching of running back coach Don Shula. He graduates in 1960 as an Air Force Distinguished Graduate, Air Force ROTC. While waiting for pilot training to open a slot for him, he goes up to William and Mary for a sorority mixer, and he meets this cute-looking Chi Omega by the name of Ruthie. And guess what? Soon after, Sam and Ruthie are off together to pilot training. Ruthie didn't get wings, though. Down the road come 4 children, David, Dale, Scott, and Christy, plus 7 grandchildren and 1 great-grandchild. This was the start of Sam's incredible Air Force career. Upon attaining his wings, Sam flew the C-135 for a couple of years. And in February 1965, he transitioned to the C-141 Starlifter, which is a huge Air Force transport plane, 4-engine jet. It looks much like the C-17s that you observed working out of Kabul. Even while a young captain, fellow aviators in the Air Force said that Sam had attained a national reputation as Mr. C-141. That is some distinguishing factor. One example of his flying skills, while flying a mission from Hawaii to California in a C-141, the life raft in the wing inflated. It's not supposed to. It wrapped around the plane elevator, which caused serious control problems for the aircraft. For hours, Sam and his co-pilot fought those controls, using engine thrust movements to keep the plane flying level. And they got all the way into Travis and landed safely, saving the lives of the crew, the passengers, and of course the plane itself, which the Air Force was interested in. Needless to say, the Air Force immediately relocated all rafts out of the wings of the C-141. Sam's reputation as the go-to guy on the C-141 would follow him throughout his career. Sam would log over 9,000 hours as an Air Force pilot, and the C-141 would not be retired until 2006. His service would include 83 combat missions to Vietnam. In 1969, Sam left active duty and became a TWA pilot and flight instructor at their New York Training Center. He would fly with TWA as a captain for 29 years. At the same time, Sam joined the Reserve Associate Unit at McGuire Air Force Base in New Jersey. In 1975, he authored a research paper on low-level wind shear, a paper which recommendations were included in Air Force procedures regarding wind shear. One pilot told me that Sam was the most professional pilot he had ever known, noting that he was a stickler for precision and detail. On numerous occasions during his career, the Air Force would recall him to active duty. Sam was always an advocate for reserve participation in active duty missions. When Sam retired from TWA, the Chief of Staff of the Air Force personally called him, asking him to serve on his staff as an active duty general officer. And Sam's noteworthy accomplishments had a national impact on America's defense posture. Now here's what's really unique about Sam's career. He actually had 2 full-time careers. I don't know anyone else who had 2 of them, but Sam did. While with TWA, he was often recalled to active duty with the Air Force to work on issues relating to the Air Force Reserves. 2 of those assignments were as a general officer at the highest levels in the Pentagon. Now, I'm not going to go into detail about his awards and decorations because they are too numerous, and you can Google that. But one of those awards is on the lower left side of that plaque over there, and that's the Air Force Command Pilot's Wings. The most important thing to any pilot, of course, are their wings. In preparing these remarks, I spoke with several officers who worked with Sam throughout his career, and these people knew him best, and they knew him over many, many years. And I want to share some of those comments. I quote one retired colonel verbatim, and this is word for word. This gentleman said this to me. "You can put Sam on the highest pedestal, and you would not be embellishing anything." Other comments. Respected and admired as a professional aviator and leader. Wonderful sense of humor. A severe, no-nonsense professional Air Force officer and airline pilot. Good sense of humor that could lessen the tension and improve the situation. Pragmatic to the core. Extremely effective leader. Thoughtful and generous. Dedicated to the successful completion of every mission. Not a micromanager. Collaborative team approach to problem solving. A patriot. Possessed strong family and personal values. Had great spiritual strength with abiding faith in Christ. And 3 of the Air Force officers I spoke to attributed their career success to Sam's mentorship. Let me finish with a word about Timeless Teleco plaques. We asked the donors come up with plaque sayings that bespeak the honoree, and also consider messages that convey kind of a life message to people who will come by and look at that plaque. So Ruthie and her family and friends, they put a lot of work into this process. I know there was a lot of discussion. There might have even been some controversy. I don't know, but the wording on the plaque certainly bespeaks Sam, and there is a life message for all who will ever walk past that flagpole there. And that message is, dream, fly like an eagle, and walk with God. And no more appropriate location exists for Sam's plaque than under the flag of the country he loved and so ably served.
My husband Wayne, Brigadier General Wayne DeLauder, and Sam, been friends forever, and Wayne is in California. Ruthie had asked Wayne to speak, and he already had this commitment and paid for it. So guess what? I'm your speaker. So I am basically reading what Wayne wrote. He says, "I am really sorry that I can't make this dedication, but he committed to this event. It is especially regretful in that we have not only been friends for 50 plus years, but we had during that time nearly identical careers and lived nearby each other during those years. Sam and I were like brothers from different mothers. But Sam was always a couple steps ahead of me. He led me in assignments and promotions, and he outlasted me by far. The Air Force recognized the value of Sam and requested that he remain serving beyond the normal maximum years of service. To do that, he required the approval by the President, and it was granted. With nearly 39 years of service, he retired as Major General. Sam was great at telling stories, and he spoke at many events. The first time that Wayne dropped in on Sam at the Pentagon, he asked the secretary, "Sam here?" She said yes, and Wayne just walked in his office, opened the door, went in. The secretary ran in after him and said, "I'm sorry, he didn't get clearance." and Sam told her that Wayne was like a brother and would never need approval to drop in. Sam was so successful because he was smart and charismatic. He enjoyed humor, off-color jokes that many today would consider inaccessible. And my husband was feeding those to Sam, and he pulled them off quite well. In closing, Wayne said, "It is fitting that my dear friend, General Sam, is honored today at this place where he spent so much time trying to stay in shape. God rest his soul."
So those of you who are wondering what the painting is over here, Mark Cherms, my brother-in-law, painted that. It's the representation of all the planes Dad flew in the military. So as you can imagine, standing up here after a talk like that, it pales in comparison. So, my mom and I and my brothers were sitting here all tearing up, kind of remembering. So, it's hard to get through some of this, but I just want to say thank you so much. Dad touched everybody in a special way. And for all of you to be here would mean a lot to him. So I just want to thank you. Thanks for Mom, and thanks for all the friends and family. That's it.